Last year I designed this little bunny just as more or less a kind of an Easter gift, and originally I thought I want to make a video on how I created her, and that never happened. So finally the video will be here. It will be a more part series because not everyone will be interested in how I made the pattern and will want to jump right into the making thing, so... But for everyone who is interested in how I made the pattern, this is the progress. I try to make this part as... basic as possible. That it's not only how I made her, but that it could be kind of a guide on how to make a sketch into a plushie for you too. So, first things first. I made a sketch from her in profile, and then I measured out how big is the head, how big is the body, how big will the legs and the arms be. Just to have a basic idea about the proportions. And from this you can blow it up to whatever size you want. Though the whole design was mainly, just more or less egg shapes, making the pattern was quite straightforward. I decided that I wanted the head to be 10 centimeters in diameter. Oh my gosh. So the first step was to make a circle, and from that I elongated the front part to be a snout, and then just, drew the outline. To get the head part, or the top head part of the head, I measured from the point where I decided the head will connect to the neck to the furthest point for the of the snout, and this is more or less the center line of the top head part, what I mark here. Then I made two measures, one from the snout to the center part, top part of the head, and from there to the neck, and then made just a shape that is smaller at the snout part and gets wider to the top of the head, and then smaller again to the neck part. And this is mainly to make the snout smaller than the top of the head will be, so that you really get the shape of a snout here. Looking back at my sketch, the body needed to be double the size of the head, so obviously this is 20 centimeters long, and I again just drew the center line, put on a little bit of a straight edge for the neck, and then I just drew a shape. And it's exactly that, I just drew a shape. I later had to change this a little bit after I saw the first attempt, and in the final version of the pattern this is already corrected, so you don't have to care too much for this. While I was outlining everything and cutting it out, I marked where the top of the head was, where the snout began, and where the neck should be. And then it was just cutting everything out. Surprise, surprise. For the ear pattern, I was quite sure that I just wanted it very, very long. And after deciding where the ear connects to the back of the head, I had the measurement how wide it should be, and with that I could draw the ear shape. That was the moment where I first checked my pattern. I traced the side headpiece and the top headpiece and just stick them together with some tape. And I had to notice that the top headpiece was far too wide. So I scaled it down a little bit and traced that onto the original pattern. At this point I was not completely sure if I would need a jaw part, so I made this, but it turned out it was unnecessary. It looked more like a dog with a jaw part. But I included it into the pattern anyway, so if you want to make a dog, you're welcome. For the legs, I again looked at my precious little chart, how big they have to be, and again drew a center line, and then I made the shapes. I needed two parts, one for the inner leg and one for the outer leg, and the outer leg got a little dart because I wanted it to be a little bit rounder and fuller on the top. The arm was exactly the same story, just without a dart, so quite easy. With the pattern for the body done, it was time to make the pattern for her dress. For that I used the already altered body shape pattern and traced it 1.5 times to get an idea of the neckline, and yeah, just drew again a shape that got wider to the end and rounded it off a little bit. And with that, the dress pattern was quite fine. Then I measured how long the shoulder is, or the neck is, from where the head connects to the neck to the where the head and the neck connects, and where the arm starts, to be able to get an armhole into this. And yeah, that's basically it. It's not complete magic because you don't have any darts. It's not completely difficult or something like that. It's fairly easy to make a pattern. But yeah, that was how I made the basic dress pattern for her. Though the opening for the armhole should be a little bit bigger in the back because of where I positioned her arms, I used the second half of the halfway done pattern piece and yeah, just made the hole a little bit bigger. Though her little hood is basically the same pattern as her hat, there was just a little bit to change. Again, keeping in mind where the ears have to go through and the width of the neck, and yeah, just more or less cutting off the parts where she where the hood will end, so where the snout is, and yeah, basically where the snout is has to go. Surprise! Though I already knew that her dress will be made, or had to be made, out of a stretchy fabric, I did not consider how to close it. So keep in mind, if you make this, it has to be a stretchy fabric. With that, the pattern was done, and I hope that this is at least a little bit helpful for you if you want to make your own pattern for a plushie. And yeah, we will see us in the second part of this video where I will make her, finally.